If I were to ask you, which is more important, hard work or business smarts, we'd probably get some division in the room as to what really matters. But if I were to say to you, how many of you want the rewards of sales? How many of you want those Tiffany platters, those trips to anywhere in the world, those big six-digit incomes? I think we'd be unanimous. We all want that. We all want to be successful in the job. And to be successful, we know we've got to work hard, but we also need to work smart. So if I were to say, if you want the rewards of sales, raise your hand. Can we get a show of hands? That's everybody. And if you want to work yourself into a frazzle to get them, raise your hand. Only one of you wants that. So if you want to work smart and actually have a life, raise your hand. That's our topic. We're going to figure out how to sell smart so we can have a life, but get those rewards. Now, Ann promised you you'd get 2 or 3 ideas you can use tomorrow. And that's my goal. I want this to be as practical as possible. But I will warn you that part of what I really love is looking at why things work. You know, if I'm recommending a technique, I want you to know that it's actually going to work, and there's a reason it's going to work. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the psychological research or the factors in terms of decision making that make something that I recommend effective. So you'll get some of the insight as well. All right, let's start off by a little quiz. You don't have to raise your hand, just shout out the answer when you know it. These are 3 easy ones. Number 1, who invented the telephone? Very good, Alexander Graham Bell. I heard a gradual murmur that arose to a crescendo. Alexander Graham Bell, there he is. Kind of looks like me, actually. Anyway, Bell invented the telephone. But did you know that for the first 10 years the Bell Company was in business, they couldn't sell the thing to anybody? Nobody wanted it. For 10 years, he and his partners, his directors of the Bell Telephone Company, struggled to pay the bills, struggled to get anybody to adapt the telephone. They got so desperate that after the first 10 years in business, they were nearly bankrupt. Bell wrote a letter to the president of Western Union offering to sell them all the patents, all the technology, all the resources of the Bell Telephone Company for $100,000. It's all yours, baby. And the president of Western Union wrote back and said, what possible use could I have for an electrical toy? They couldn't sell it. Without sales, nothing happens. Who invented professional sales? Sales where you are representing a company and you're going out to another company, or in your case to a school or a school board or a school district, and making a sale organization to organization. Who invented that? This guy did it. John Henry Patterson. Now, we've heard of Edison, we've heard of Bell. How many of you have heard of Patterson?
Is it airplane?
No, didn't invent airplanes. John Henry Patterson owned a coal mine in southeast Ohio. He lived in Dayton, Ohio, and he owned coal mines, and he became incredibly wealthy. This is back in the 1870s. And by the time he was in his 40s, he was bored. He had more money than he knew what to do with, and he was bored out of his mind. So he and his brother Frank, who was his co-owner of the coal mine, decided to sell it all and do something new. And they looked around, and there was a little company in Dayton that they were intrigued by. It had a product they had used in their coal mining shop, where, you know, workers came to buy and sell products and food and what have you. And it had saved them a ton of money. It was a cash register. So he decided to buy what was then called National Manufacturing, which he renamed National Cash Register, NCR. He thought, you know, any storekeeper is going to want one of these things because the clerks are taking money out of the drawer. The clerks aren't good at math. They're making incorrect change and giving the customer too much back. They're losing track of IOUs from customers coming in and saying, I'll pay you later.